Thanks for clicking! The Canadian Real Estate Association, the CREA, is under investigation by Canada's competition watchdog, looking at whether or not the CREA's policies push home sellers into paying higher commissions to their agents.
Yeah, they do.
Indeed, but the investigation should not be confused with the class action lawsuit against the CREA, which we've discussed on another video, which came on the heels of a $418 million settlement with the National Association of Realtors in the United States. That lawsuit changed the ways in which buyers' agents are paid in the United States, having the truly unfortunate effect of pushing mediocre agents out of the industry.
You're welcome here anytime.
Well, maybe not so much. As we've discussed before, there is a similar lawsuit occurring here in Canada, and now it appears as though the Competition Bureau is also looking into anti-competitive behavior on the part of the CREA. Given that the new rules recently launched down south are already appearing to upend the real estate industry, I think it's worth taking a look at how this story is unfolding in Canada. So what I want to do today is very briefly recap what happened in the United States, take a look at the developments here in Canada, and look at why the feds are investigating, and then discuss some implications. As we'll see today, this is an ongoing story here in Canada and has the potential for some major changes in the real estate industry. We will obviously continue to track this story on this channel. Click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, let's get into the US. On to the NAR lawsuit in the United States. Very briefly, as we've talked about this at great length before on this channel, the lawsuit alleged that sellers were compelled into commission sharing agreements with buyers' agents in order to market their homes on MLS. So, if you were selling your home in the United States and you didn't offer the buyer's agent proper compensation, or what they deemed to be proper compensation, then said buyer's agents would push their buyers to other listings, and your home would not get noticed.
It's not a bribe. Of course it's a bribe.
And it wasn't just in the US. It did, and still does, for now, occur here in Canada, as was documented by a CBC marketplace investigation, which found that when a seller tried to list their home only offering 1% buyer's commission, or $14,000, that seller had trouble finding buyers back during the pandemic boom.
His words were, "No agent is going to come. Under no circumstances, no agent is going to come to see your house."
However, while we still have this practice very much so in Canada, not so much in the United States anymore. After the NAR settlement, commissions for buyer's agents can no longer be listed on MLS. As such, buyer's agents will no longer be able to steer their clients only to those homes that offer the highest commissions.
We had a good thing, you stupid son.
And the results of this decision in the United States were predictable. Breakdowns, tantrums, and blame games. About what you'd expect when the scam came to an end. In the United States, at least, it's still very much going on here. There is a class action suit making its way through the courts, arguing that the payment of commission to buyers' brokers is anti-competitive, with the plaintiff's lawyer arguing that in Canada, brokers just don't show houses to clients if they're not getting the standard 2.5%. So, as we saw in the United States and in the marketplace video, and is being argued by the plaintiff lawyers here in Canada, under current practices, if sellers don't offer the buyer's agents a high enough commission, they'll have trouble garnering any interest in their properties, which, it's being argued, is anti-competitive behavior.
You think?
And now, Canada's Competition Bureau is getting involved as well, with Commissioner Matthew Boswell suspecting the CREA of breaking federal competition laws. The Competition Bureau is investigating what we discussed earlier, the buyer-broker commission rules, and if these rules incentivize agents to prioritize homes with higher commissions.
Is the sky blue? Is water wet?
Yeah, 2 years ago, caught red-handed doing what we all know happens all of the time, and are now being investigated.
For sale by owners offering 1%. Well, agents may not take their buyers to that home. It's just real.
And remember, that was $14,000 in commission in October of 2021. Back when money was free and the only skill needed to sell a house was the ability to say, "Here's a house and give me another $100,000.
Guys, it's so much work.
Regardless, the Competition Bureau is asking the court to compel the CREA to provide it with records dating back to 2019, including information on why it created these policies, these commission structures, in the first place. Bureau spokesperson Rosalie LeBlanc summarized, There are also concerns that these rules could pressure sellers into offering higher commissions to buyers' agents to avoid their listings being overlooked by the buyers' agents.
When we told her there would only be a 1% commission, she said, I'll keep my clients to myself.
Because you weren't offering enough money.
Correct.
$14,000.
That's right.
And with the Competition Bureau finally looking into these practices, at minimum 3 years too late, Garth Myers, one of the lawyers for the CREA class action suit, says this is great news for home buyers and sellers. Myers noted that the Bureau's inquiry reflects a growing concern in Canada with the cost of real estate commissions generally. So, in addition to the class action suit being undertaken against the Canadian Real Estate Association, we now have the Competition Bureau taking action against those commissions as well.
I got to drive a BMW.
With that said, in the interest of fairness, the CREA does have its side and is denying the anti-competitive actions that were on video, noting that the CREA believes its rules and policies are both pro-competitive and pro-consumer, noting that the policies increase the transparency and helping realtors better serve Canadian property buyers and sellers. These rules help buyers and sellers.
It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words.
Well, sellers get compelled to pay more commission than they obviously wanted to, or they don't get their listing shown. As demonstrated in the Marketplace video, some realtors will lie to keep buyers away.
The vendor's saying she never even got a call, and this woman's not just steering, she's lying.
And good for buyers, which get to pay more than they would in a truly competitive market. As demonstrated in the United States, with 86% of realtors thinking the new rules will lead to industry exits. So, given that sellers are compelled into paying higher commissions than they otherwise would in a truly competitive market, and buyers have their choices restricted or even lied to, it's not exactly clear how increasing the money leaving the pockets of the consumer to head into the real estate industry is in the benefit of buyers and sellers. With all of that said, let's be clear and let's talk about the one advantage that this system does have, the advantage that won't be spoken about by the real estate industry as it would point to the true cost of a real estate transaction, the ability to finance real estate commissions. Let's take the standard 2.5% commission that buyers' agents charge, and we'll use the current benchmark price of $717,000. 2.5% of that benchmark price would be about $18,000 for that buyer's agent. But it gets better, as that money gets worked into the sale price, therefore the buyers get to finance it. Let's use that same example, and we'll also use the 30-year amortization of which the real estate industry thinks is such a great idea. Let's put that $18,000 in at, say, 4.25%, and at the end of those 30 years, those buyers have paid $31,736 in buyer's agent commission.
I earn it.
But were that system to change, as we're seeing in the United States, and the sellers did not offer any buyer's agent commission, it is possible that those buyers would have to pay that commission out of pocket, which could obviously limit the buyer's pool, unless the Bank of Canada wanted to print them some, potentially leading to lower prices. Which is what happens every time you have real competition in the market. It's the raison d'etre for the Competition Bureau itself. Competition drives lower prices. But that's not really what we have now. As the CBC Marketplace special showed, right now we have a closed system, with sellers having to pay a higher commission than they normally would if they want their homes sold, and buyers' agents only steering their clients to those homes that are offering the highest commissions. Now, how all of this works out remains to be seen. The new rules only came into place in the United States in mid-August, so we haven't really seen the effects as of yet. However, some preliminary results show that in slower markets where it's more difficult to get homebuyers, sellers are offering up higher commissions on their properties. With that said, in hotter markets, those markets where the buyer's agent really isn't needed in order to sell a home, there's more negotiation around fees, which is really what it should be in a free and fair competitive market. Free negotiation amongst all parties. If the market's hotter, like it was, say, during the pandemic, when the village idiot could sell a home, then maybe sellers aren't willing to pay as much to get their homes sold. So, the news of the day, while we've seen over the past few weeks the federal government and the Bank of Canada loosening the standards for borrowing for qualifying, potentially heating up the real estate market, We also now see the Competition Bureau stepping in to potentially help consumers, to potentially help the runaway nonsense that we all had to endure during 2020, 21, and 22.
That I am the greatest man in the world.
How all of this plays out remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure with the Competition Bureau now taking a look into the CREA as well. Now we're not just talking about a civil lawsuit, but a federal investigation. It's definitely getting very interesting in Canada's real estate market. We will obviously continue to track any changes that come down the pike on this channel. Click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, thanks so much for watching.